See, when you start to understand how the brain works, then you create whatever state you want in a person. And once you create the state, you've controlled the behavior. And I want you to know, you've got to become a master at this if you want to support your family, yourself, on an individual level or on a global level. Another one, another frame. Besides self and others. Another frame is matching or mismatching. Matching or mismatching. Let me give you an example. You tell me, what is the relationship between these three figures? What is the relationship between these three fingers? Raise your hand, I'll call on a couple people. Yes, what's the relationship?
They're all rectangles.
They're all rectangles, okay? Now remember what he said, they're all rectangles. Somebody else. You can't see it, I'm sorry. Can you see it now? What's yours? They all have four straight lines. Yes? They're all on the same paper. Yes? One's lying down. What's yours? They all have 90-degree corners in them. Yes? Same horizontal axis. This is really interesting. Yes? They're all closed. What's the relationship between these three figures? Yes, sir? All of them are written in red. Down in red, okay. Oh, bound, excuse me, I'm sorry. Bound in red. Yes, what's the relationship between these three figures? Yes?
Looks like two against one.
Looks like 2 against 1. What do you mean by that?
So the two are upright, one's laying down.
2 are upright and 1's laying down. Okay, someone else, yes?
All four are about the same size. All three are about the same.
All three are about the same size. Yes?
Moving closer together or farther apart?
Some are moving closer together and some are moving farther apart. Okay, which do you notice first? That they're moving apart or moving closer? Moving closer together. Somebody else, yes? There is no relationship. Okay, someone else. What are the relationship? Yes? Yes? Yes?
They're drawn by the same person.
Drawn by the same person. Yes?
All three at the top of the page.
All three at the top page. Okay, so now let me explain to you what I just did. I just described for you the way people sort information. And here's how some people sort information. Some people in any situation, the way that they come to understand something is they immediately trying to find out how things are alike. Those are called matchers. And a lot of you did that. A lot of you said, well, they're all squares. Like this guy, you can see he did the same strategy both times, didn't he? First he said they're all drawn in red, which means how they're all what? Alike. Then the other way he described it was they're all at the top of the page, which is how they're all what? Alike. That's called a matcher. Okay? Now, some people said things like what? Well, the first two are together and this one's on its side. That's called, instead of just matching, okay, first let me make another distinction. Let's call the first one I call matching, call it sameness. Sameness people. Those are people, the way they learn, the way they make sense of the world is by finding how things are alike, how they are the same. Now, there's a second category of people called sameness with exception. Sameness with exception. Now, here's how you know who those people are. Those are the people, sameness with exception. Those are the people that came along and when I said this said, well, the first two are alike, but the third one's on its side. What'd they do? They found out something was the same, and then there was a difference. Sameness with exception. You understand the distinction? Here's the third kind. The third kind is difference people. Difference person was the person who said there is no relationship. Right? The guy in the corner is going, what the hell are you talking about? Because he sorts by what? Sameness. He's going, there is no relationship. He sorts by what? Differences. He found all kinds of differences, so there's no relationship. Somebody else said, well, this one's on its side. That's the first thing he noticed. So the first thing he noticed was what? Difference. And the fourth category is difference with exception. Difference with exception. And what that is the person, difference with exception. Difference with exception is the person who said, there's one on its side, but there are two alike. So the first thing they saw was the difference, but they did also see the likeness, the sameness. So difference with exceptions. This is different than these, but these are the same. Okay? So the first two categories are called matchers. Matchers. In other words, people who find exactly how everything's alike, or those who find out how they're alike and then find a little bit of an exception or a difference. Okay? The second two are called mismatchers. The way they learn is by finding out how things are different. either how everything is different or how things are different and then there may be some things the same. Now, how does this relate to communication? Well, some people, when you communicate to them something and you say, this is how it is, like let's say I say to you, rapport is the ultimate power. I use that phrase. Now, how did some of you sort of it? Some of you immediately try and figure out how that relates to your own experience, and what you do is go, that's true because when I've had rapport, I've been able to do this. Now, what kind of person would do that? Someone who's finding sameness. They're trying to find out how things are alike, right? Now, what if I've got another person, and that person says, I say, rapport is the ultimate power, and they go, well, yeah, because I've done this, but there are times when I've had rapport and it still didn't work. What's that person called? Sameness with exception. What if I say rapport is the ultimate power and somebody in the room goes, wait a second, no it's not. What's that called? Difference. Why? Because they've found all the ways where it doesn't make any difference at all, where rapport doesn't make a difference in their mind. Now what if somebody goes, well that's not always true. I mean I can tell you times where it isn't. It's true that sometimes it is, but most times it isn't. That person's called what? Difference with exception. Now let me give you an example of how this works. I'm up doing a speech at the United States Army. The man who brought me into the Army, who's one of my best friends, right, gets up in front of the room. I'm up in front of the room. I've got this colonel and these generals, all these people, total trance, right? And I'm giving a bunch of embedded commands about operating from a level of compassion, right? You know? And going through what I call the the ramifications of any decision in your mind before you do it. I'm doing that on an embedded level without anybody's awareness. Well, I'm talking to them about pistol shooting. So that's how I get their attention. That's how I got in. Because I knew if I got in, I could create big change with people in their mind when I'm there. See, I have a covert outcome and an overt outcome. They saw the overt one. I knew the covert one. So I figured that's where I can create some change, get the guys at the top. So I'm doing this great piece of work, and my friend stands up and he says, that's not true, about some of the content of my conversation. I said, what are you talking about? And he's my friend. I was so angry I couldn't even believe it. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, is that true here? I said, yes. He went, well, is that true here? And I said, yes. He said, was that true here? I said, yes. Is that true here? I said, well, no, not that one case. You've named 4. In one case it isn't. He goes, well, then don't say it is. I was so pissed. I pulled him off afterwards. I said, what is your problem? And it would happen, and then I got up the next day and I'm up and I'm doing another speech, and I say something that in 99.9% of the cases is true, but he found the 1/10 of a case it wasn't true. He says, you can't say it's true then. I said, what the hell are you talking about? And I finally realized when I learned these skills, what does he do? He's a what? Difference. Difference with exception or difference. He's a mismatcher. So anything I say, the only way he knows, the only way he can feel like he's learned it is to find the exception. That's the only way. Otherwise he doesn't believe learning. Now how do I learn? I find out how things are alike. So I try and find how this is like and how that's alike. And somebody says something, I go, yeah, because that's true here. I try and find immediately where it's true. Mismatchers try and find out where it's not true. There's nothing wrong with either one. They're both beneficial. Hey, Newton developed his laws like gravity by his ability to do what? Do what? Anybody know? Match or mismatch? Match, because he took all these different things and he found out how they were alike. And he created laws, generalizations. See, that's what a matcher does. Now, what about Einstein? What did he do to create, what did he do? He mismatched. Because what did he do? He took Newton, and he looked at that stuff, and he goes, everybody else just accepted it. He goes, that ain't true. That's not true here and here and here. And so he refined. He kept some of the things that were true, but he refined, and he mismatched, didn't he? He mismatched with exceptions. That's what he did. He found out where the things were different, and then he found out where they were alike. And as a result, he changed theory. So we're both important. See, both are important. But let me ask you a question. If you are, let's say, you got a matcher and a mismatcher in a relationship, what's going to happen? War. They go over and over again. I was talking to this lady the other day about why she eats lousy foods. Do you know what she said? It was amazing. I had this distinction, so I heard it. She said, well, you know, I'll eat crackers and stuff instead of fruit because fruit's different all the time, but crackers are always the same. Even though you know they're bad for you, they're always the same. She said, you know, you can count on them. She did. I was listening to conversations. She says you can count on them. They're always the same consistency. You know, they're full of chemicals and crap, but at least you know how they're going to taste. Fruit, it may be right, maybe in between, may not be the same. Can't depend on the damn stuff. It's got to. We laugh, but it's true. Why is she eating the crackers? Because she sorts by what? Sameness. So if I'm going to get her to eat fruit, I got to find a place that gets the same kind of fruit and keeps it in the same season, right? That's it. You have no idea to what degree this rules your life, most of you. I'm just introducing you this to kind of plant some seeds in your mind. See? So with a mismatcher, by the way, how are you going to motivate them? Like the gentleman I did therapy on day one of them, my longest therapy, and I've done a long time, 2.5 hours. And the one who's been in therapy for 7 years. And part of it is because in therapy, no matter what you do, the person always says, what do you think? Right? So that develops a nice mismatcher thing, right? Because as soon as you say you think this, and they go, well, are you sure? And the person goes, well, maybe not. And they do that for 7 years till all of a sudden the person's got a mismatcher thing no matter what they say. Like, he said, could I tape record the session? I said, sure. He goes, well, do you think I should? I said, doesn't matter to me. I said, doesn't matter to me, whichever you prefer. I said, you don't need it. I said, because the change will be done. It's not like you have to listen to it over and over again. The change will be done while you're here. But if it makes you feel good, tape it. He goes, no, I don't need to tape it. So he sits back in the chair, right? He goes, he's starting to go into trance. He goes, wait, I really need to tape it. He runs over to the thing and he goes, should I tape it? I am not exaggerating. I'm going, I can understand why you're depressed. You know? So then he goes in there, right? So then he puts the tape in. And he's got the tape inside his little unit here, right? And he pushes the thing and he's going, I wonder if this volume thing affects the, how much it picks up. Like if you turn it real low, if it barely picks up, if you turn it real high. I said, I don't know. Why don't you just put it in the middle? He said, well, do you think that'll make it work? I said, why don't you just take a chance? So you know what he did? He didn't. He did the opposite. He pushed it all to one side, and he couldn't tell, and he pushed it all the other side. He went back. I just sat there. I almost started laughing. I said, yeah, I got all day, I guess. I shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake, because that was 2.5 hours with him instead of an hour. But the bottom line is going back and forth, almost everything he did. You know what? I created change in him. Unbelievable, beautiful, elegant change in his unconscious. I mean, unbelievable results. As soon as I did it, he had to do what? As soon as the change was done, he immediately had to do what? Mismatch it. So he had to destroy it. As soon as I did it, he goes, well, I just sabotaged that. I said, okay, great. So I do something else? As soon as it was good, as soon as he admitted it was good, then he had a mismatch and proved to himself it wasn't good. So he goes, oh, that didn't work. Right. So finally what I did to be able to create the change is when he said it didn't work, I said, oh, good, keep doing that, because every time you do that, it works. And he went, and I was so congruent in it that he started to believe me, because I changed internal representations. I was lying, of course. Right? So I said, every time you do it, oh, come on, more, more. And I got him to say, no, say it doesn't work, good. Oh, that's great. And I'm telling him about the movements that are happening in his unconscious, right? And he's going, right? So the more I did that, I linked it up. So the reason my therapy finally worked when I was done is because every time now when he says it doesn't work, it works. And because he believes it, it's now true. I did. It took me 2.5 hours to finally figure out the only way I was ever going to get it, because no matter what I do, he's going to sabotage it. So what I decided to do is give him a double bind, where I told him, great, continual. See, I told him to continue to sabotage it. Now, what does he have to do since he's a mismatcher? Not sabotage it. Oh, come on, harder, harder, do it harder, louder, louder. Great, that's making it work. So, but since he's a mismatcher, immediately he goes, no, 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 no. Oh, come on, come on, come on, do it, go, go, go. He goes, sounds like child psychology. To a certain extent, so what it is with a mismatcher. Now, same as people, the easiest therapies. Because all I got to do is show them how this works to this, and they go, oh, I got it. I did a woman right after him, took me 30 minutes. And her problem was a lot worse than his. See? So I had to make this distinction about matchers and mismatchers. So if you go to the Nuclear Regulatory Committee and you want to create a change, do you just go up there with your, your leaf and go, look at the difference? You'd think so, wouldn't you? Especially if you're visual. But I'm sorry, there are other factors involved. You got to be able to change your internal representations, and change their state. In order to do that, you got to understand their meta programs as well. So what you got to do this is when you go to them, you got to discover if they're matchers or mismatchers. And what do you think the Nuclear Regulatory Committee is? Are they matchers or mismatchers? Which ones are they? Mismatchers. They're looking about, as soon as somebody says one thing, their job is to check up both sides. So you say this is how it is, immediately what's the internal response? They don't even have a choice. It's anchored in. Well, maybe that's not necessarily true. So how would you get them to do things? You go in there and go, a lot of people would come by, I don't know if you're the kind of person, I don't know, listen to this word phrase, I don't know if you're the kind of person that would want to create a change or not. What'd you do? I don't know if you're the kind of person or not. So you told not. You made it sound like you were pushing them, but say not. So what are they going to inside have to do? Yes, I am. I don't know if you're the kind of person that would really be able to hear a farmer say about this or not. Mismatcher has to say what in his mind? Oh, yes, I am. So I don't know if you're the kind of person that would really be able to take this evidence and in a minute or two say, I'm not going to open the plant. I don't know if you're that kind of person or not. See, yes, I am. See, when you start to understand how the brain works, then you create whatever state you want in a person. And once you create the state, you've controlled the behavior. And I want you to know you've got to become a master at this if you want to support your family, yourself, on an individual level or on a global level.